Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to have a real gentle practice. So I have again 2 blocks, a strap, and a blanket here. I'm thinking I'm going to use the blanket a little bit. So if you don't have one of those handy, go ahead and grab that, and then we'll join on the mat when you're ready. So whenever you're comfortable, find that reclined position. Breathing in and breathing out. Just at these opening moments, just listening to the breath, moving it actively throughout our body. Maybe it's an opportunity to take a little bit of inventory. Maybe it's an opportunity to separate a little bit from, where we've been earlier in the day. If this is a practice that you're doing at the beginning of the day, maybe it's an opportunity to prepare to begin moving and really, getting to the business of the day. So just kind of wherever you're at, wherever you're finding your need at the moment, just breathing into that. Just a couple more breaths. Maybe gently drawing the knees into the body. And we rock a bit from side to side. Perhaps extending one leg as we keep the opposite close. Changing sides. Maybe drawing them both in once again. So rocking a bit from side to side, just really feeling, hopefully feeling the back open up here, but just feeling free to just be for a few moments here. Letting the breath move throughout our body. Releasing the knees when you're comfortable. Maybe rolling the hips up a bit and coming back down. Just a couple more. Now I'm not taking that bridge very high at all. It's definitely not going as high as I usually approach, and that's by design. And I'm really taking things. I might even say that I'm going by the 60% rule today, in that I'm doing about 60% of what I might quote, be able to do or do on my more energetic practices. So that's partly the range or the number of repetitions, maybe a little bit of shifting left to right. So remembering that this is a gentle practice, so the idea that we're taking things easy, taking time to listen and honor what our body has for us at this moment. Maybe one more time to each side. Good. Coming back to the middle when you're ready. And then let's turn onto our side and come up onto all fours. Perhaps positioning our shoulders over our hands. Inhaling and exhaling as we flex and extend the body. So just comfortably working through that range, rolling the hips up and the shoulders back, and exhaling to go the opposite direction. And maybe coming to neutral when you're comfortable. Maybe shifting a little bit left and right. Back to neutral, maybe sinking back into child's position. Good. So just resting in child's position for a moment or two if you'd like. Maybe extending the arms forward. And maybe coming back up onto all fours. So a little spinal balance here. Maybe we lift one arm in the opposite leg and come back down. And one more here. And maybe just a couple of rounds with the two-part spinal balance. We lift one arm in the opposite leg, and we'll exhale, kind of pull things together underneath, inhaling and lifting. The other side. Completing the set we're on, doing one more Just one more on each side. So for me, I have one more. You're inhaling, exhaling, inhaling again, releasing. And maybe a little cat-cow before pressing back to child's position. So depending on how gentle you're making this practice, perhaps we'll do a little bit of the low series, just engaging the shoulders. But maybe we draw forward, pull the elbows close. Maybe we just stop here and hold for a moment. So I like to do the scaption push-ups as well, so where we're just keeping the arms straight, but shifting the shoulder blades forward and back. So if you'd like a little bit of involvement there. But pressing back whenever it feels appropriate. Now let's come forward again. I'm actually going to employ a block here. Now you can play with the block at whatever height you like. For me, this really seems to be the best height. But I am going to lower down a little bit. Right? So the idea is I'm going to lower down till I just gently touch that block, and then I'm going to press up and come back. Now, you can, obviously, if you change it, you don't have to go down quite so far. My goal is to stay at a comfortable height. Really, the hope is that I'm keeping my elbows at about a 90-degree angle. So, like I said, at this particular height is what's been the most comfortable for me. And back, but I encourage you to explore, to turn that block around and see, what options work for you. Now, again, applying the 60% rule, right? Maybe we're only doing a couple of these, right? And I'm keeping my knees on the ground, just making it very accessible for today. It's really just about moving through the motion. Maybe we could think of it as a way to practice our form, if you want to think of it that way, where we pay attention to where the elbows are. Maybe one more time. So I realize we've done several of these at this point as we were kind of playing with the block and things, but just work through what's comfortably available today. Now I'm going to replace the child's position with a downward dog. If that's a part of your practice today, enjoy. If staying in child's position is really where you're most able to care for yourself, then please do that. And from downward dog, gently releasing heels toward the ground. And however you choose to come together, walking the hands and feet closer together, maybe reversing the swan dive, and then we'll find our way upright. Just whatever gets you on your feet for a little bit. Rolling the shoulders out, maybe looking to the right or the left, or lifting one ear or the opposite. So a little chair set. I'm going to do that with the block between my knees today. And it's not about crushing the block. It's really about keeping my knees tracking smoothly with my ankles and my hips. So as you're comfortable, maybe breathing in,
Exhaling as we sit, just to whatever degree is comfortable, right? 60% maybe of where you feel like you're working. Exhaling as we sit down. And if it feels like a lot of energy to move the arms so much, maybe they don't go so high. Or maybe they just rest on our legs, inhaling as we stand up, exhaling as we sink down. Just really ask yourself, where are we expending energy that maybe we don't need to at the moment? One more time. Rolling the shoulders out, taking that block weight. I'm actually going to leave the block at the head of the mat for now. We'll be using that again in a moment. So a little walking warrior, just to get things moving a bit, right? Opening up. Inhaling. So I'm keeping the arms low. Sometimes as we do this, I'll bring them up a little bit more to the heart center. But for today, maybe inhaling and coming overhead, almost as if we're coming to like more of a crescent lunging type of position. So we're trying to draw a little bit more through the body. Inhaling, exhaling, in, and out. Oops, lost my balance. Inhaling, one more time on each side. Shaking up the arms a little bit. Planting your feet on the ground for a moment, and then just turning from the sides, or from the hips. Relaxing the arms so they travel across the body. So we shake things out a little bit. Let's open to the longer edge of the mat. Maybe sink down into the hips, right? Stretching into the spine a little bit. Maybe looking over the shoulder. Right. So this you may feel a little bit more pressure in the hips with this, but hopefully we're releasing any tension in the legs so we can actually kind of relax into the posture for a moment. I'm going to keep the wide leg position for a moment and hinge forward. Maybe we'll bring that block into play for today. Coming upright when you're comfortable, maybe turning toward Warrior Two. So I'm going to sink in and out of Warrior Two a couple of times, just kind of finding the direction from the ground. Inhaling as we lift up, exhaling as we sink out. Maybe one more time on this side, just really easy. And then I'm going to float into a reverse warrior, right? Extending down the side of the body a little bit, maybe supporting with the back hand on that back leg. And releasing when you're comfortable. Right? So we're not holding these very long, and so it's kind of that 60% idea. Or, if it helps you, just to think about enough time To begin opening the body, inhaling as we come up, exhaling as we come down, but not so much that we're taxing ourselves today. This is a gentle practice. And when you're ready, maybe floating that warrior two into a reverse warrior, long through the sides. And back to the middle, paralleling the feet and hinging into the center. Now maybe, I'm going to actually change the direction of my block here. I'm a little bit lower, but maybe from here we do a little bit of shifting. So I bend one knee, shift the weight to that side a little bit. So the idea is we open through the inner thigh a bit. Maybe one more time. Back to the middle. And maybe turning, right? Think about rotating through. If a twist has any, if it resonates with your gentle practice, and then we come back to the middle, and we head to the other side, gently turning. And returning to the middle. Good. And coming upright when you're comfortable. I'm actually going to take the block with, coming upright, shaking things out. Set it back to the forward edge. All right, so shaking things out. Maybe turning from the hips, relaxing the arms. Maybe rolling the shoulders out. Perhaps looking left or right, up, down. So inhaling, extending the arms overhead for a moment. Bending into the knees, exhaling, hinging forward, right? Just pausing in that forward fold. So whatever is comfortable for a forward fold, right? Even if that means bending the knees and just softening the body over the legs. But when you're ready, maybe coming down into a lower position, right? So if the low squat is comfortable for you, whether you sit on, you can sit on the block if you'd like, or you know, hang back, whatever feels to be the most comfortable. Now, given this isn't the most gentle position for everyone. This happens to be one that fits well for my body, and I use it quite a bit. But you know, if it doesn't fit for you, you know, please find something that is, or going ahead and sitting back here as you're comfortable. And I'm keeping the block. I'm going to actually try and put the block between my feet for a moment. Right. So we do butterfly very often, right, where we lower our feet. I'm sorry, we put our feet together and we lower our knees, right? So that may be comfortable. But for today, I'm actually going to return the block between my feet and just take note of what that happens to feel like today. So maybe using the hands on the ground behind us to lift the chest a little bit. So this is different, I realize. That's part of the goal. When you're ready, releasing that, go ahead and extend the legs forward. So So I have my strap, and I'm actually going to employ it for this, where I loop it over the feet. Okay, so Now I'm not looping my hands around that so that I can really wrench and pull myself forward. I'm doing that just so I have a bit of a foundation. So there's a little bit of a connection. I went ahead and put the block between my knees just so that the strap doesn't totally pull everything together. You don't need to put it there if you don't want to. You can put it between your feet if you'd like. It's not totally necessary. It's just a space keeper at the moment. So I've connected through the strap, pulling the shoulders back, lifting my chest gently, and just holding. Right, so I'm not attempting to reach toward my feet. I'm more trying to lift the body and just find this comfortable position. Creating a little bit of engagement in the upper back by pulling the shoulder blades back, more than pulling on the arms to draw myself forward. It's just more about this idea of sitting upright, lifting the chest. Continuing to breathe. Releasing there, unwind the strap away from my feet. And then, actually, I'm going to open wide for a moment. Right, so I'm just sitting wide. Same basic idea as what we did in the staff position with the strap, but I'm just lifting the chest, reaching out through the heels. I'm not going to take it far. So as you're comfortable, maybe drawing things back in, maybe taking one knee and then rolling back to the ground. So from here, I'm going to put both feet on the ground and kind of find my positioning for bridge for a moment. So this is where the blanket is going to be my friend. You might choose to use the block, but I encourage you to start with the blanket. So we're going to kind of come up for bridge, but then slip the blanket underneath the back pockets. So it's not up under, sorry, my shirt, it's not coming up under the lower back where we're hanging over it. It's actually under the back pockets almost, or just a little bit higher, where it's supporting our pelvis. Right, so we're kind of finding this relaxed position with our pelvis lifted. Now, we could do this against the wall and have the legs extended up. That would be great. So I've done my gentle bridge. I've lowered back down and found the blanket, or the block if you really want to use it. But I'm just going to melt for a moment with the body long. So this is one of those positions where we can just be, right? We don't really have to do anything. We're just going to enjoy this relaxed position. Maybe, if you need to adjust the blanket, go ahead and do it. Find a place where you can be pretty comfortable here and really not feel like you have to do anything. So breathing in and breathing out for a few moments. I really like this slight elevation of the pelvis, as it kind of helps unlock my hips and my low back in a couple of different ways. So this one, is a favorite. But resist the urge to fiddle with things as much as possible. But if you do need to make an adjustment so that things are more comfortable, do that so that you are in a place where you kind of feel like you could just be for a long time. Now, I encourage you to hang out in that position as long as you want. We'll move on here together in just a couple of moments. We've got a couple other things before we close out, but just know that this is one that you might choose to use at some point.
Maybe one more breath in this position. And then maybe bringing the feet in, lifting the hips a little bit. Let's bring that, take the blanket out, rolling back to the ground. Let's go up and down a couple times just to feel that motion again. One more. And then maybe drawing our knees in, rocking a bit. So a little happy baby here from knees to chest, just bringing the feet in where you can catch hold of whether it's the big toe or the side of the foot. Now, again, think 60%. So, I mean, if you do happy baby and you are, generally kind of pressing the knees all the way to the floor or something, we're going for 60%. But just take time to let the body talk to you as we work with this. So I'm gently applying a little bit of downward pressure on my feet, barely any outward pressure on the knees, really just enough to keep the shape. And maybe we shift a little bit side to side, or if you'd like to extend the legs out a little bit for a reclined wide leg position, it could be great. That's good. And maybe drawing the knees back in, perhaps a couple of circles as we just sort of draw on the ceiling here. Good. So one more relatively relaxed or passive part of our practice. So I'm making sure that I've got my blanket rolled up one more time. And I'm going to gently slide it underneath the low part of my back. So that's a little too low there. So again, it needs to be comfortable. And I'm looking for it to be basically the length of my body. Right, so it is roughly right up the middle of my back. Shoulders rolling back, palms toward the ceiling. Maybe we breathe in and we breathe out. Again, we want this to be comfortable. We want to create a position where we can simply be. Now, if you're feeling a little bit like you want to move, maybe, so I'm using the blanket underneath my body, but I'm going to take the block and just set it on, since I have two, I might use both of them here, but you kind of place those blocks or another blanket or a pillow or something across the hips or the abdomen that may kind of help you feel a little bit more grounded and just kind of coming into this position of just being for a few moments. So our yoga practice can be very vigorous. It can be very energetic. We can work on opening joints. We can work on strengthening muscles. We can building energy. We can really be, trying to even make ourselves sweat if that's the way that you choose to practice. But it is also appropriate to practice comfortable, supportive, even restful postures. Hopefully in either case, we're taking time to listen to what the body has to tell us, what information it wants to give us, and work with that and not against it. So hopefully finding a very peaceful, comfortable position for a couple more breaths. Maybe taking one more deep breath. And releasing. Just letting go any tension that you may have found. When you're comfortable, if you've put things over top of your body, maybe removing them, rolling off the blanket there. So we can just come back to the ground for a moment. And coming upright. When you're comfortable. All right, so whatever is an easy seated position for you. So gentle practice. Hopefully, there was some information gained. Maybe it's prepared us for the day or prepared us for sleeping. Depending on where you're choosing to use it at this point. As usual, closing out our practice together today with 3 breaths. The first breath honoring the body for its work. Second breath honoring the mind for its attention. And the third breath honoring the breath itself for its presence and its feedback. Taking a moment, saluting one another. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining today. Until we see you again.